Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. And I'm really, really happy to have Mridula here. So, Mridula is a blogger turned social entrepreneur. And so, yeah, thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling me, Lakshit. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure indeed to have you over here. So before starting this session, that would be wonderful if you can give a brief introduction about yourself, what you do, how you started, and what's the story, and how did you turn to be an entrepreneur, and everything A to Z about all about yourself. That would be wonderful.
So I think you discovered me via my Instagram page, Ulisu by Mridula. It was initially a blogging page for recording all of my zero waste attempts, my attempt at living more consciously, my attempt at reducing my carbon footprint, and mainly my attempt at trying to reduce my plastic waste contribution, that I was creating as a consumer. I had just made the Instagram page because I knew whenever I make such a resolution, I won't stick to it for a very long time. And I just wanted to like sort of announce it to my social peers so that I don't go back on it.
Hmm.
It was kind of pressure I wanted to put on myself. And then later I started realizing that the resources and the products I bought and, the brands and organizations I reached out to in order to live more sustainably, a lot of my followers didn't know that. And, it started helping them to reach out and start living sustainably themselves as well. And then I realized that a lot of people are not able to live zero waste or reduce their impact, not because they don't want to, but because they literally don't know how to. What are the things they need to click on, what are the resources to go to, what are the places they need to send their recycling waste to. People literally don't have the resource access to this resource. So then I realized that is what I should make my page about. I should make it about promoting every other small startup that is doing some good work and needs some kind of a highlight. I made it into a website soon. That's been my latest work. I've made a website which has list of all recommendations of brands and any organization you will need in every area of life. From throwing a party to living in your house zero waste to cleaning your house to anything you might need. And I've made it available for free so that people don't have to work very hard in order to do that research.
Okay.
I remember when I went zero waste, it took me nearly 1 year to actually reduce my waste because I spent so much time researching. And I'm hoping that the work I've done reduces that time for other people when they want to live consciously.
Okay. And how do you like the world we live in is we are filled with plastic everywhere. Let it be
Hmm.
our chairs, let it be the books we have, let it be any kind of thing, let it be our pens, let whatever what we
Yeah,
even we eat and
got
what we
addicted.
put. Yeah, it's like addiction. So how do you live that usage of plastic and buying that much plastic? Even the sticker we put on apples, they have plastic in them. So how is
Hmm.
it possible to totally remove plastic from our life?
It's true, actually. When if you actually think back to when plastic started out, it was introduced as an environment friendly solution because people didn't want to cut down trees to make paper or use wood to make furniture or things like that. Plastic was actually considered eco friendly because people thought they wouldn't have to do a lot of deforestation if they just made things out of polymers. But the truth is, nobody thought about the fact that it stays forever. You
Yeah.
know so plastic was, I wouldn't say it was a complete mistake, but it was an incomplete design that we didn't think about it properly. It was a huge design flaw. We didn't think completely, and now that we saw the consequences, and then you look back, then you would be like, "Oh my God, what we did was stupid. Why did we use plastic for everything?"
Yeah.
So I think awareness is coming slowly, but at the same time, that does not mean we quit plastic and we go back to all those things which were high in carbon footprint, which were cutting down trees. We have to think of a way in which whatever we have made so far is the items and those materials stay in loop again and again. We don't have to mine for new resources repeatedly. We have to figure out a way that we can break it down, use it to make new things. We have to figure out a way we can keep supporting secondhand items, and keep creating businesses and industries out of secondhand materials itself. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if it's plastic or if it's paper or if it's any kind of material. If you make a brand new version of anything, and it's usually called as virgin plastic or virgin whatever, that is bad for the environment. Plastic being an additional problem that it doesn't even biodegrade. So it's really a design flaw of a world that we are living in. But my hope is that, we have seen a lot of documentaries now coming out. We have seen, obviously this Instagram movement, social media movement of people learning from each other on how to live plastic free. So I do see hope, but unfortunately change takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, it
So
does.
I'm that 5 years down the line we'll have a different conversation.
Yeah, true. Yeah, very true. And plastic, of course, it's a thing. Uh,
Mhm.
but now it's the thing which is already produced can't. It's non degradable for years. So
Mhm.
how can we use it? As you have done researchers, have you have speak with experts. So of course, you would have
Mhm.
understood about that. So how could people
Yeah.
reuse their own plastic and know how things can happen and what can they do to become a bit little eco-friendly?
So there are various things you can do with plastic. I'll go in the order of priority. The first thing you should do when you see plastic is see if it is in a condition that it can be reused again. Okay. And if you see plastic that can be reused again, just the way it is, for some other purpose, maybe, planting something, storing something, and just, keep reusing it for as long as possible. That is the best thing you can do. Second thing is, if it can't be reused anymore, see if you can recycle it, right?
Okay.
Recycling is basically you break down the material, you melt it, you shred it, whatever, and then you create new plastic products out of it. But what happens with plastic recycling is every time you recycle plastic, it downgrades in quality.
Okay.
So eventually, there is going to come a day that this plastic will reach a space, reach a phase where it cannot be recycled anymore, and it will have to be thrown away for trash, or that was what was assumed before. So recycling should be your last case scenario once you realize you can't reuse this anymore. Now, another new thing that has come up is called polyfuel technology. Now, this is unfortunately, for some reason, it's not been promoted a lot, but it exists. There are polyfuel units in Pune and Dehradun that actually break down and melt soft plastics, the kind of plastic that cannot be recycled anymore. And they turn them into fuel, which is very similar to diesel or kerosene.
Okay.
And that fuel can then be used for, your cooking or your cars or something like that. But this technology is still catching up. And one of my fears with this technology is, although it is perfect to manage a lot of the waste that is already there and it's harmful, it might become a reason or an excuse for plastic industry to keep producing more plastic.
Last.
uh, so that is a concern, but at the same time we should not dismiss a technology when it is actively helping in some way. So polyfuel is definitely one way in which it can be managed. And all of this is only possible if we as consumers start segregating and start actually being aware of the fact that our plastic can go somewhere. Otherwise we will keep seeing people littering it everywhere, and it ending up in landfills continuously, when there is clearly an economic value for it if you learn how to take care of it.
Okay. And you spoke about polyfuel. So does that
Hmm.
polyfuel is not harmful for the environment, and does that is it eco-friendly?
So yes, when you talk about plastic burning, that
Mhm.
does leave these kind of
Yeah.
toxic fumes a lot of us are worried about. Polyfuel technology, these guys have figured out how to do it in a controlled unit.
Hmm.
The fumes stay inside the machine, and it continues aiding in the heating process. So they have figured out a non-toxic way to create this fuel, and it has definitely been helpful so far. I really hope that it spreads, and more states take up. I hope more governments take up the initiative to set up these things, because it's a very recent technology so far.
Okay, wonderful. And coming to you as an individual, how did you
Hmm.
begin? What was the first step? Before then, first step,
Hmm.
let it be any kind of things you want to get into your life. Let it be veganism, or let it be going eco-friendly, going
Hmm.
sustainable. So there is a step.
Hmm.
You have to take baby steps. Just learn, research,
Yeah.
know how to
Yeah.
work. So how did it began for you? How did you get to know about things?
So I think, I mean, deep down, obviously, all of us are concerned about the environment in some ways, because we are like, well, if that's the future, what do I do with my future?
Yeah.
Right? Uh, what is my life going to look like when I'm retiring? What is my life going to look like if I want to have kids? Should I even have kids? So environmental issues are quite personal to people of our generation. It's not as easy to dismiss. So I was a fashion design student, in fact, in NIFT Mumbai. And I always thought I would contribute to fashion industry in a way that I would somewhere help with eco-friendly fashion or something like that. That's the intention with which I had entered. Later I got interested in other things and got carried away. Obviously, there's a lot of things. But basically, I got introduced to the concept of zero waste because of a YouTube video. Honestly, I was just watching YouTube. I was going down a rabbit hole of information. And whenever there's anything that's talking about climate change and environment, I used to watch it because, I loved those topics. I loved learning about them, even though I hadn't applied any of it in my life. And then I saw a woman who was living zero waste and she had saved like 5 years of her trash in a mason jar. Her name was Lauren Singer. And I don't know how realistic that is, but in that moment, that really inspired me. Because it's shocking, like how did someone do that? I didn't immediately feel like I should do it, but it made me start thinking about everything around me that I was using. I started seeing other videos of hers of how she lives zero waste, what are the things and changes she has made. And I started questioning it in my head. And eventually, after a year or so of, learning, getting all this information, once you get the information and once you're conditioned and once you're normalized to the fact that there are people living this way, only then you will feel a little confident in doing it yourself. And then I was like, okay, let me try it. So on my birthday, I started, okay, from today, I'm not going to use any single use plastic anymore. And I started challenging myself. And within 3 days, I failed. And I
Okay.
was like, wow, this is much harder than I imagined. Because it's one thing to read something theoretically. And once you start practicing it, you realize how many products in your life come in plastic.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this is ridiculous. Everything in our world is covered in plastic right now. This is not realistic. So that is kind of how my journey started. And that is the reason I made my Instagram page. And that is the reason I started discussing whatever I had in mind, whether even if it was good, even if it was bad, even if I made a mistake, I would keep posting about it because I think people, deserve to see a realistic version of a person
Yeah.
trying to live zero waste,
True.
not an idealistic version.
Okay. Okay. And how did you figure out the main important thing is food? And food is totally covered in plastic. If you go to
Yeah.
a shop, the dal they sell, it's, if you take a dal, it's a company packet, it's in plastic. If you take a normal dal which they sell, they will put it in plastic. So how did you remove that? Like how was that removal happen?
Yeah. So majority of the plastic waste in your house or in my house that comes is always, that is the main source of all the plastic waste we create, right? Food is the main source. Why? Because plastic is important in preserving food so that it can last on the shelves longer, stay fresher, and thus it is able to feed a lot more people because we were able to package it in plastic. But the truth is, it is also part of the waste problem now, right? So while that is great for people for whom trying to find access to food is difficult, like in a desert area or in a frozen area, or for military workers, getting food in packaging is quite important for them because it needs to be preserved. For people like us, when we have access to fresh food around us, sabzi walas, mandis, we have kirana stores which have bulk food. When we have access to this, we should try and opt for it as much as possible. These things come package free. These things are weighed in weighing machines. You can take your own cloth pouch and you can give it to them. And a lot of these stores in India are honestly taken for granted, because if you go to any other country, any other developed country, everything is sold in packaging. Everything is pre-cut and put in a plastic packaging in cling film wrap and everything, and it is so difficult for you to avoid any kind of waste when you live in a developed country.
Yeah.
And in India, we have we are lucky enough to still have a system where we can opt for a package free option while shopping. So as much as possible, I started noticing all these small stores. And now if you look at the way I shop, I barely enter a supermarket unless it's for like a ketchup bottle or like something very specific that you only find in supermarket. I barely enter supermarkets anymore. You will mostly find me at these small kirana stores and these small local stores and oil mills and flour mills where I can get things made freshly. Now, of course, there will be times during an emergency, or if you're tired, or you don't feel like you have the energy to do bulk shopping all the time. What then I try to do is, instead of buying anything in a small quantity packet, I try to buy it in the largest quantity packet that I can find. So that way, at least my cumulative plastic waste is still much lower, is what I try to manage.
Okay. And all the plastic which we collect, you said there are better ways we can recycle them. So what kind of plastics, like in the city of Bengaluru where we live, or maybe in India, let us take for an example. So how could somebody recycle their plastic? And is there a way, like you found that we can, give a plastic and make money? Because when people get money for something, they would crazily do it for sure. So did you find a solution as a kind of that thing?
So every material you segregate has a different monetary value. So it depends on your recycler how much they're willing to offer. There is a lot of private recycling centers these days. I am not sure because I'm yet to even donate it. Sometimes I've donated my hard plastic waste and my bottles and metal bottles and metal scrap and all of that to kabadiwalas, and sometimes received a change of 10 or 20 rupees from them. But I don't know if in this world money can become an incentive enough for recycling, unless so many people are recycling that the recycling industry is actually thriving. Then we might actually be able to do that. But when you're starting out now, you will have to start out with more motivations than just the money. One of the best ways, even if you don't know where to give your plastic waste for recycling, the best thing you can do right now is you can cut it open, you can clean it, and you can keep storing it. Keep storing it, as a bundle in a box. Because even your Tetra packs, your plastic packets, your clear packets, if you cut them neatly, straightly, you can even donate it to some brands who use it for, upcycling it into a bag sometimes. They turn it into a yarn and then they weave it into a fabric and they make bags out of it. There's a brand called Recharkha that does that. You can give it if it's been torn very untidily, or if it's a very small plastic, and these are small soft plastic packets that you get, you can give it for polyfuel instead. If it's hard plastic that is accepted for recycling and actually has some value, I'm assuming you're done reusing it as much as possible, and this is your last case scenario, so you can give that for recycling. So whatever dry waste you have, start seeing what kind of waste is accepted by recycling centers. You'll start getting a better idea of what kind of waste can be saved for that, and what kind of waste is actually hopeless and needs to be thrown away. Because I think it's the lack of information of what can be done about this waste which actually leads to people throwing it away. So we really need to get in touch with recycling centers, get in touch with people, listen to some of my IGTV podcasts on Instagram, and you will start getting an idea of what things are valuable and what things are not.
Okay. And you were speaking about you becoming a social entrepreneur. So what do you wish to do in that enterprise? What do you wish to learn, and what would we expect? What can we expect from your enterprise?
So currently, most of the initiatives that I'm working on have been non-profit so far. I arrange a community call kind of a initiative every alternate Sunday, so that people who are interested to learn more, who are hesitant to ask questions in public spaces, for the fear of being judged, can come on these calls and ask questions about any of the focus topics that we are discussing that day. This Sunday is going to be about sustainable travel. How can you travel? If you're a travel lover, you have a lot of carbon footprint, right? So how can you do that in a more sustainable way? That will be the topic of the call. And last Sunday was about motherhood and parenthood in general. How do you raise kids so that they can inculcate some of this behavior, and how do you live zero waste as a mother, which is a huge task, people think, but there are people I found who were living that way. So I try to find people who can talk about those things for these calls and initiatives. That is one way in which I'm helping the community network with each other and share some gyan themselves, and even console each other, because we feel so judged. We feel this huge pressure to be perfect all the time. We need to see examples of people doing it imperfectly and still being proud of themselves. That is one initiative. Second initiative that I have worked on is the package free map, which is still open to a lot of contributions. Whichever area you're living in, you can send me links of the location of the shops that you're buying package free from. so that all the pins are there on the map, and any new person who would like to go zero waste can refer to that map as well. So that has been one map that I have been trying to work on. So it pins all the physical stores, not the online stores. And my website is already a list of all the online stores that you can reach out to in order to live sustainably. And the new entrepreneur part, this is all the social part of the work that I'm doing. The entrepreneur part is I'll be starting a store with all the products that I have used, and I can guarantee that they work, with a proper customer review for all of them. Because I think a lot of times we glorify eco-friendly products just because we are so desperate for people to use them, and we don't critique them the way that people critique every other product.
Yeah.
We go a little eco-friendly products because they're like, array, at least help the environment. But I think we should be quite strict with eco-friendly products as well, so that they can get better, and more and more people opt for it. So I'm starting a marketplace store, the Olisu store. So that will have all the products that you will need to switch to immediately. You can make a few investments in your house so that you can lower your waste. And you won't have to even go through my website, to do the research and, hunt through brands. You can directly buy from the store.
Okay. And is it going to be a local store or an online store? How is it going to be there?
Online. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be starting it on Instagram first, and we'll hopefully have a website that is live before the end of this year.
Okay. And what would be your message to anybody who wants to go sustainable and go eco-friendly and live using plastic?
My message would be to tailor it to your lifestyle. You don't have to drastically change your entire personality to live sustainably.
Mm-hmm.
If there are some things you love and you can't imagine letting go of them, it's okay. There is no one definition of environmentalist that you need to fit into. If anything, this movement needs as much diversity as possible. So bring your personality into it while you're trying to live sustainably.
Okay.
There is a way for you to do something, even if you don't want to give up on, say you don't want to give up on meat, or you don't want to give up on traveling or something like that. There is a sustainable version of everything. So keep learning about it, and don't judge yourself very harshly when you're trying to go sustainable. For all you know, there are people around the world who need your example so that they can step up and start following a sustainable lifestyle as well. So create that niche. Don't lose your personality, don't lose your identity in the process of going sustainable.
Okay. And just last question of today's session is what kind of myths did what kind of myths were there regards to living plastic free, eco-friendly?
Myths.
Yeah.
I think it's not important for everything in your house to have a plastic free alternative. Look at the things that are single use and disposable, and only replace that. If there's tissue paper, replace that with a cloth napkin. If there's plastic brush, replace that with a bamboo brush. But you don't need to replace your plastic hairbrush with a wooden comb. You really don't need to do that, because your comb is not going to be thrown away after one use.
Yeah.
There are items in your house that are durable, made of plastic, and that is fine. You do not need to find a bamboo version of everything, a wooden version of everything, a glass version of everything. So, look at it smartly and invest in the products that are essential needs. Don't waste your money on unnecessary sustainable products to just make your house look more sustainable. Sustainability is about the way you use your products, and that is more important.
Okay. So yeah, thank you very much for being here, giving wonderful
you.
advices, making this session an interesting one and different one totally. So yeah, thank you very much, and wish you very, very good luck and success for your upcoming venture. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me, Lakshit. I'm so happy I was able to share everything that I could.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, indeed, my pleasure to have you over here. Yeah, thank you again. Thank you very much.